last year our economy grew at 8.2%. This year it's expected to grow at 6.4%. A big debate rages about whether this is temporary, cyclical, or does it reflect a structural slowdown. I want your understanding of the nature of this economic slowdown and your expected time frame for recovery. Do you accept the criticism being leveled by several like your predecessors like Raghuram, Rajan, Arvind, Subramaniam, who think that this is a structural slowdown, it's not temporary? Dr. Nageshwar.
First of all, thank you, Rahul. We have to place this economic slowdown in the context of the fact that global real economic activity index, which the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas maintains, has been slowing since 2023 beginning. So it is not an India-centric phenomena. It's a global phenomena. And India, having grown at extremely good rates in the 3 years post-pandemic, naturally there will be a consolidation, and it is also contributed to by global factors. The second half of the current financial year will already be better than the first half, which was a combination of several factors. Of course, elections, you have slower capital spending by the governments, in fact, not just the union, but the state government, and also a myriad of actions, macro-prudential actions by the central bank. But to some extent, the fact that even a 6.5% growth rate is now considered inadequate shows the level of aspirations have gone up, and that's a good thing. So I don't agree with the argument that this is a structural slowdown. Yes, we can always do better than what we are doing, and that is what we should strive for. But I think the slowdown was brought about by a combination of several near-term factors rather than a structural reason being responsible for it.
You know, the other, of course, I was listening to your press conference and you made the point that India needs to grow at about 10% per year to be able to achieve the target of being a Viksit Bharat by 2047.
That's in nominal terms. In nominal terms.
In nominal terms, India needs to grow at 10% per annum to achieve that target. And if our real rate of growth is only 6.4%, the likes of P. Chidambaram and others, when they watch this interaction and read your survey, will say there is just so much of a gap between what the government says we will be in 2047 and our current rate of growth, and the two are never going to meet, that this is just a jumla that the government is throwing.
No, Rahul, that is 6.5% is 6.5 to 7 is real terms.
Sure.
10% is nominal terms. So if you add inflation, then the question is, if the Indian rupee in the coming years were to do well, then 6.5 plus inflation rate of 4 to 4.5, 11%. And even if the currency depreciates by 1% per annum, then you will be able to achieve a growth rate of 10% in dollar terms. And that is what we are looking at. So there is no disconnect between the two.
Okay, let's now come to foreign direct investment. In the first half of this fiscal, net FDI into India was just $0.48 billion. How concerned are you by the fall in net foreign direct investment into India? One, of course, is that the American markets are looking better, and therefore, and America is also trying to attract a lot of foreign investment and American companies coming back and investing into India. But just the fact that actual net FDI coming into India has come down, why do you think that's happening, and how concerned are you about it?
FDI coming into India actually has picked up in the current financial year. That is the gross FDI number. The net FDI number is lower because repatriations in the last 2 years had picked up. And by the way, repatriations are of investments made at any point in time in the past. And if they have been sitting on a huge amount of unrealized profits, and given the state of the Indian market, which was making new highs every week, every month, it was natural for investors to cash in on their investments and exit. So in a way, that too is a good sign for future inflows from foreign sources. So I think, and given the state of the current account deficit in the country, the fact that it is not FDI inflow slowed down, but profitable exits were made, is not an immediate cause for concern. And moreover, again, the global context is foreign direct investment flows have slowed down to every destination, and it is not an India-centric phenomenon.
You know, in this economic survey you put out today, you're saying the government must get out of the way, trust people, we have no option. Business as usual carries a high risk of economic stagnation, if not high risk of economic growth stagnation, if not economic stagnation itself. You're also asking the government to wipe out the trust deficit between government agencies, which have to set the agenda in this regard. What's the message that you're sending? There's a very potent message there. I can read what the message is, but do you think the powers that be are listening to their chief economic advisor on this?
Very much so, and it is again, I would like to clarify to you, when I say government, I refer to government system in the country, which includes state, local, and all government ministries, even in the union government. So it is all government, not just the union government. And I think in general, it is the fact that most of the rules, regulations, and compliances and inspections happen at the state level. And that is what brings with them the fear of growth for small and medium enterprises. And that is what I'm addressing. We need to move towards self-regulation, self-certification with random inspections rather than micromanaging the affairs of legitimate and lawful enterprises. And by the way, it is not just with respect to industrial activity, it is across all sectors, including education, labor, health, etc. So the approach has to be to let legitimate economic activity happen without too many restrictions.